Under the previous Conservative government, the average mortgage payment on the average home newly purchased was $1,400. Now, 8 years later, it's $3,200.
Yep, it's true. Houses in Canada are almost impossible to buy because they're just so expensive. If you're thinking of moving to Canada and you think, oh, I can get myself a nice cheap house in Canada, you know, sell my place in wherever it is, you know, possibly the UK. No, you won't be buying a house in Canada unless you have a huge deposit or at least half the money for it and a really good government paying job like being the Prime Minister maybe, or, you know, Finance Secretary or something. Otherwise, no. Here's Pierre and Justin debating the fact.
Canadian household would have to spend 63% of their pre-tax income to make monthly payments on the average home, something that's mathematically impossible. Some are now having to pay $2,400 to rent a room in a townhouse, not the townhouse, a room, and the privilege of having 5 or 6 other roommates with them after house prices and housing costs have doubled under this Prime Minister. How did he spend so much to achieve such bad results?
After 10 years of a Conservative government underinvesting in housing, if investing at all, we brought forward in 2017 a national housing strategy that has created new opportunities for millions of Canadians to get into homes.
He's got an accelerator. Well, I've got news for him. You can't live in an accelerator, Mr. Speaker. You have to live in a house or apartment, and under his leadership, the cost of the average 2-bedroom apartment has doubled from $1,172 to $2,205. The cost of an average mortgage payment has doubled to over $3,000. And now the share of your monthly income you have to spend to own the average home is 2/3, by far a record-smashing number. Again, how did he spend so much to achieve such horrible results for homebuyers?
Over the past 8 years, we have consistently invested in programs and supports for Canadians that have delivered many more opportunities for people. But we know there is more to do. But Canadians are free to contrast our multi-layered, broad approach on investing in housing with what the Conservative MPs got elected on in the last election, a promise to give a tax break to landlords who sold their buildings. That was the entirety of the housing plan in the last election from the Conservative Party of Canada. We will continue to have real approaches that work for Canadians.
His main criticism against the Conservative government is that our housing programs were not expensive enough, right? If only it had been more expensive to taxpayers, then it would have been a better program, Mr. Speaker. Yes, it's true. This Prime Minister is the heavyweight champion of government spending. The problem is he keeps delivering the worst possible results. House price costs have doubled under this Prime Minister. And then they're more expensive for the taxpayers who have to fund his incompetent programs at the same time. So why doesn't, instead as you stop wasting the money, start delivering more houses?
Mr. Speaker, Conservative politicians still think you can cut your way to growth, because that's what they tried for 10 years under Stephen Harper and failed, and that's what they're continuing to propose now. Cuts and austerity. You can cut your way to new jobs for Canadians. You can cut your way to fighting climate change. You can cut your way to Indigenous reconciliation. Well, you can't, Mr. Speaker. And the Conservative Party continues to cling to a trickle-down austerity approach that does not work for the middle class and people working hard to join it. That's where we will stay focused, and we'll take no lessons from them.
Let's look at the results. Under the previous Conservative government, the average mortgage payment on the average home newly purchased was $1,400. Now, 8 years later, it's $3,200. He has delivered a 100% increase in mortgage costs, all while bringing in an $89 billion taxpayer-funded boondoggle in the housing program. So that, once again, why won't he end the government waste, get out of the way so that we can build affordable housing in this country?